Thank you very much, everyone. I love you already. I did that. How you doing? How's everyone? Those beanbags comfy? They are. Awesome. Right. My name is David Cousen, and I'm really glad to say I'm not presenting anything on the iPad. I've been running my illustration company called Surface for 9 years now. And like a lot of luminary speakers, I want to talk about myself. But to reassure everybody, I'm actually not going to do one of those things where people just talk for 20 minutes about their portfolio, because I also would like to talk about you. Yeah, you. Now, I want to talk about your ideas. I think this has got to be a room full of creative people, so you all must have some really, like some burning desires and projects you want to work on and things you want to make someday. And the reason I want to talk to you about that is because of a question I was asked. And that's, do you have a dream project? About a month and a half ago, some of you will have seen, I did a live streaming masterclass to show some of the awesome new Adobe apps. I'm sure most of you already got them, and Rufus did a great job of explaining them, even with technical difficulties. But yeah, definitely get some of this stuff. If you haven't got Capture, that's absolutely worth it. It was so good. But so I showed using the apps and how to tie them into my workflow into Photoshop. And that went very well, and that was nice. And afterwards, I was interviewed by Adobe UK. And there were a sort of nice set of questions, which I went through absolutely fine. I wasn't worried about. And until I got to the last one. The last question. If you could go back 10 years and give yourself a piece of creative advice, what would it be? Now, the problem I had was I got a bit OCD with this, because, like I said, I've been doing stuff for 9 years, so 10 years actually encompasses my entire career. So I was like, what the hell would I tell myself 10 years ago? I'll be honest, my first thing was this. Don't exercise on a concrete floor with the iPhone in your pocket. That was a really bad move. It cost me a lot, and it hurt. But I thought that was not a great answer. So then the next thing came in, don't work for peanuts. Again, it's a better answer, a bit bitter. For my first year, I really undervalued myself, and I worked really short deadlines, really sort of intense workloads for almost nothing. And I would advise any of you not to do that. Don't do too much work before being paid. That one, yeah, that stung too. I did the best part of a book before. Yeah, the company actually the owner folded the company without paying anybody. So that really left me in a situation. Another idea came to my head. Don't post about your love life on your art portfolio. Still can't believe I did that. So, and the thing is I've done lots of stuff over the years. I've given people lots of advice. I've written like this. I've written sort of things for magazines. I've written sort of advice on being freelance. All of this stuff was all things I did. And they're all kind of various bits and pieces of advice which I thought were useful, which people could like find valuable. But none of them really worked enough. They never really felt like a strong enough answer. Sorry, that's the book I wrote, which also had digital art in it. And so I thought that maybe I could give myself some technique advice, tell myself some kind of shortcut or some useful thing which would save me so much time and help me beat some deadlines. But again, that didn't feel like enough to tell somebody right at the start of their career. So I thought about it, and after a few weeks after I'd written the answers for the interview, I came up with this. Don't hesitate. Do it now. Now, this has been important throughout my career, and this is the story why. And this is why I want to speak to all of you. Optimus Prime. Going back to the start, like probably a few of you in here, I was very inspired by cartoons as a kid. The kind of energy, the excitement, the bright colors. There was all kinds of stuff. If anybody knows what that's from, I'd be very impressed. I think I'm the only person who's watched it. Well done. Nice, good work. Yeah, again, computer games were like a big thing for me. They still, to this day, have a lot of influence on my work. And comics, of course. I've sort of read quite a lot of those over the years. In all honesty, even being a grown-up, my influences haven't really changed. I'm still watching cartoons, still playing games, and it's, I guess I've just never really grown up that much. Skipping ahead, because you don't really need to know my whole entire life story, and it's not just to hide the sort of complete load of embarrassing haircuts, which, there you go, just so you can see, that was actually me inventing the selfie. Art college. This is where I want to take things next. Okay, you want to kick me off the course for that. I went to study an illustration degree, and I was always quite a big proponent of digital work. It's something I've always sort of felt quite strongly about and something I liked. But one of the lecturers there really didn't like it. He felt that digital work was, I think he called it plastic, and he said he didn't see any future in it at all. So we argued about this again and again and again. And it got to the point where he actually said that he would not accept me doing work in Photoshop. So I got lucky. There was a teacher who was doing archaeological illustration, also on the course, and he loved my stuff because everybody was doing watercolor paintings for him. So he said I could come over to his side and get my degree through that way. So that was good, but I had to fight for that. I had to really make sure that I stayed in the course. So I've won! Excellent! What next? Well, I didn't really do anything. See, when I finished, I lost the safety of university and was now looking at other people's work. And suddenly I realized just how damn talented everybody else is. And yeah, it sucked. It was absolutely horrible. And I just thought like, oh my God, I'm not ready. I can't do it. I can't possibly do it. And I'm sure a lot of you here have had that kind of crisis of confidence. So I came up with a plan. Practice. I was hiding. I'm sorry, I was. I spent 2 years doing nothing whatsoever. I was really good at tricking myself. You can really, really lie to yourself if you're afraid enough. And so I convinced myself I was doing research when I was looking at stuff online, which when it was art websites was fair, when it was games websites, not so much. But I'd be like, oh, I'm learning a tutorial, I'm expanding my skills. But I really wasn't making any progress, and I wasn't showing my artwork to anyone. So one day, my dad walked in, probably annoyed by the fact that I was once again on a forum and was no closer to a job or moving out. He asked me this. Now, when he said, do you actually want to be an illustrator? I was offended. How dare he say that? I was online doing research. I was drawing stuff. I was trying really hard. But eventually, in that way that your parents can, they kind of hit home with you, and then you sit there and think, yeah, actually, this is a good point. I'm not really doing anything. So then, I remember this piece of advice. Ever noticed that what the hell is always the right decision? So I thought, okay, let's face my fear. I'm going to get my artwork out there, and possibly nobody will like it, it will be rejected, and nothing will happen, and I'll have to get a normal job. But what the hell? Time for action. My plan was a small one. It wasn't a big one because I'd been over-planning far too much. So what I did was I worked down to W.H. Smith's. I picked up every design magazine around at the time. So we're talking Computer Arts, Digit back then, which is Digital Arts now, Advanced Photoshop, Imagine FX. Grabbed the whole lot. And every one of those magazines, as you know, has an exposure page, which is where you send in your artwork and they post it if they like it. So one day I just decided, you know what, hell with it. I'm just getting my work together and just fired off emails to every single one of those magazines. Then I got lucky. Within an hour, the editor of Advanced Photoshop magazine, a lovely woman called Emma Davenport now, she got in contact with me and said, I really like your artwork, can I have it in the magazine? So I was like, well, yeah, absolutely. But then she also, about just another hour after that, said, well, would you be happy to do a masterclass tutorial for the next issue? Instantly jumped on it. Yeah, of course I would. I felt like a bit of a fraud, in all honesty, because I didn't really feel that I should be giving advice because I was new, but people wanted it and liked it, and it went well. And it then led to loads of work with Imagine and the other magazines. And it lasted for years, which was great. This was the image I did for the tutorial. It seems quite basic to me now, but it was fun at the time. It was my first proper paid work. And there was nothing quite like having that, like your printed work in your hands. It's amazing. This was the page from Digit magazine, Digital Arts. And don't worry, I'm not going to show you every single last thing I sent off. There's a reason for this one. This one was seen by a publisher from what was Kingfisher's, now Macmillan. And he was an art editor, commissioning editor. And he saw the Spartan image there and sent me an email and said, oh, I really like your artwork. I think it could possibly work, but can you draw likenesses? Absolutely. Yeah, sure. No worries. I'm right on that. Yeah, I'd never done likeness before in my life. So it turned out I could do likenesses, and it carried on, and that then led to a first book, which then very quickly, after a month, became 2 books. And then by the end of 6 months, I was working on a 4-book deal with them, which was fantastic. And that was all because I decided to do it now. That's lovely. It's a happy story for me. You're all sitting there kind of like, okay, you're talking about yourself like you said you wouldn't. How does it relate to you? Well, again, how many of you, like, hands up, you can feel free to put your hands up, I won't pickle anybody. How many of you here have a project that you want to do, like something you want to make, something, yep, you go, okay. Okay, you, what was yours? I'm kidding, I'm not going to. The reason this relates to my first story is that as a professional, and I'm guessing pretty much all of you here are professionals, you don't need to know that story about how to make your big break or how to get your work out there, because you've already done it. But it's remembering to do stuff now, because it's very easy when you've got your dream project to turn around and say, oh, I've got a really, really great idea, but I've got to get this commissioned first. I've got to finish this off, and I've got another commission for Tuesday, so I've got to sort that, because I've got to pay the bills. I mean, you know, those broken iPhones don't pay for themselves. So it then gets put on the back burner. Beware the back burner. The problem is it's so easy to do. It really is. And then it's not just putting the stuff off because you'll find the time, because you eventually turn around and say, yeah, no, absolutely, I will do this. I will do this once this works out the way. I'm a bit tired tonight. I'll do it tomorrow. I've got a thing. Eventually, like, Game of Thrones is on. It's one of those things. You keep finding ways to put off stuff, and suddenly, the trap you can fall into is you've got your idea, and it's been mulling around in your head, and you've got more of a thought about it. But you kind of think, well, actually, this is a pretty good idea, so maybe I should just hold off. Maybe I should make sure this is really, really well planned and organized. And then it becomes the same thing. You start to hold off, and you think, like, well, yeah, no, I'll get this artwork sorted for it first. Let's get this pitch done. And then suddenly, you're thinking, yeah, it'll be great. I will release it like this big blaze of glory into the world. But it's not. It's very, very familiar, because it's the exact same thing I was doing when I was telling myself I was going to get ready with my career and then have all my artwork ready to release into the world. Now, things used to be different. When you had an idea once upon a time, if, for example, you had a story you want to tell, you'd have to get the story written, you'd have to get the artwork all together, you'd have to send it off to numerous people to pitch it to them. If they were interested, you'd have to meet with them. You might have to change your subject or whatever your idea, your dream was. You have to change it to the whims of the investor. And quite frankly, I don't know about you, but that sounds kind of soul-crushing to me, to have your idea, which you love, being twisted and ruined. But fortunately, we don't live in that time anymore. This is a brave new world. We have Instagram. We have, like, Behance. We can literally get instant feedback with things. It's like if we do something, we can now just Instagram something up, send it to all of our followers. Instantly, we find out if people like it. You get momentum start to build interest in your projects. I mean, Behance, you can do straight from Photoshop and upload straight to it now. and have people commenting on your work and getting excited about the thing. You don't have to wait to see, like go through an approval process and let somebody else change your idea. If your idea is good, people will get it out there and they will see it and they can take it on. You'll start to get a fan base and people who will support you. And this is an important thing. You can build a fan base instantly because you make them part of the journey. They will see it, they will become invested, they will say, yeah, no, I remember this was starting out, or I gave them feedback on this, and this is built up, and they feel part of it, they feel like an ownership of it, and then they want to work with you and help you and support you because they feel like they were there at the beginning. And that is an amazing thing, which I think all creative people should start to tap into. Now, it's quite easy for me to stand up there and preach and say something, because I could quite easily just go home tomorrow and say, nah, you know what, I've got something to do, but, well, The Walking Dead's on next week. But I decided, no, I'd had a story. It's a story I'd come up with years ago. And I've been thinking about it for a long time, and I'd done the old drawing for it. I'd sort of got the odd thing. I've got like a sort of rubbish old folder of sort of half-conceived work. Do you want to get that? But I decided, you know what, hell with it. I'm going to take 2 seconds of some water because I've got a cold. The suspense. Do it now. So, I've decided, taking my own advice, this is my story, and I'm starting to draw it, and the story's being written, it's in its processes, but I'm actually launching this online so that people can see it. And I'm going to put it online for free and start to tell the story for free, and people can see it. And if they like it, they can get involved with it. They can join my newly, as of last night, launched Patreon campaign, where they can just throw you, Patreon is like an online tip jar, where if people like your work, they can commit to giving a certain amount a month, just a small amount, just like $1, $2 or whatever, nothing much. But it's one of the things that all adds up, and that means that the more they do, the more that happens, the more they're supporting you to make this thing. And so that's what I'm doing. And people can see like behind-the-scenes stuff. They can help develop the characters. They can even be drawn in the book if they support things enough. It's that kind of thing. But I'm not waiting to hold on anymore, to just squirrel that idea which will never become fully formed. By doing it now, you are actually telling the world what you are up to. You are making almost a non-verbal contract with them to say, no, this is happening now. This is happening, and you can see it from the ground up. And that, I think, is something very, very exciting. So, that's who I am and what I'm doing now. And again, to ask the question, what is your dream? What are you going to do to make it happen? Because it is on you. Is that you can do it. If you don't take this in, then you could have unfulfilled potential. You could be sitting on the next big idea. Every idea that's been worth having is because somebody's just got up and done it. They've not sat and waited for the moment. So just do it now and seize it. You can make your dream projects a reality. It's when a project has passion, when people believe in something, that is when something really great is made, something amazing. And those are the things that can change the world and make it a better place. So please, all of you creative people, do those ideas now. I've been David Cousen, and you can reach me on these details here. That's my website, coolsurface.com. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at David Cousen. And I've got business cards. You can have them if you want, that's fine. One more thing. I did get a celebrity friend of mine to help out with this. There was somebody who I really felt, well, he's basically almost like a modern-day sage, really, now, I'd say. He's almost like a prophet. And he couldn't be here tonight, sadly, but he did leave a message which he felt should be added onto this. Ladies and gentlemen, the great, the legend, Shia LaBeouf.
Do it! Just do it!
Thank you.